on, everybody? Welcome to the Locked In Baseball Podcast. I'm William Locke, and joining me, as he does for every episode, is Luis Barranco. Luis, it is the rare Saturday episode. I don't think we've ever done a Saturday episode. Usually not a great day for audio in terms of people consuming podcasts, but holy moly, what an insane 2-day stretch of baseball. We had to come on and talk about it.
Yeah, man, I was locked in last night. I didn't go to bed till 1:30 local time out here. I was in the rare William type of environment where I wanted to be in bed at 11 last night, but William kept texting me, "You want to record? You want to record?" I'm like, "Just don't." Like, I wasn't in the mood of recording last night. I watched the full game. We had a 15-inning thriller. Again, we had some old retro baseball, playoff baseball. Last night's game reminded me of that. I think it was like 16 or 17 inning game when the Astros made the playoffs back in the 2000s, where they had Lance Berkman, Brad Lidge. They had those marathon games. But man, oh man, what a 2-day stretch, man. We're here on a weird Saturday, on college football Saturday. We got a full football slate. We got the big one, USC Michigan. Go Wolverines today. We'll happily go say that. What is it? 2 down. We also got Oregon, Indiana, and we got playoff baseball tonight. Game 5, Cubs-Brewers.
Game 5.
Already making plans for that one tonight. Being going to be lock loaded. Going to have a nice adult beverage and a nice hamburger for that one.
Nice. Sounds like a good evening. Yeah, we'll get to Game 4, Cubs-Brewers, and preview Game 5 later. I was at Game 4. Holy moly, it was absolutely electric in Wrigley Field. We're going to talk about, of course, the ending of the Phillies season. Just brutal. Again, we'll get there. We got to start with last night. Mariners, Tigers. Like you said, Mariners win 3-2 in 15 innings. One of my favorite things about this game last night is the crowd in Seattle. And I don't think I've ever seen a crowd as nervous come across as nervous as the Seattle crowd was last night. Every single time they panned to the fans, it was just the most nervous I've ever seen a human being watching a baseball game. They were every single pitch from start to finish. They were on pins and needles. Once it got to extra innings, you had people putting their shoes on their heads. And, this is all because, of course, they have not made the ALCS since 2001. This is a starved franchise, a starved fan base. So every single pitch, and, you kind of sensed that they had the feeling that something was eventually going to go wrong for them, because it's the Mariners. That's what happens. They never actually make it. They always come up short. So I got to say, I am very happy for that fan base, for the Mariners, to finally get over that hump for the first time in a generation, get to the ALCS, and kind of exercise some of those demons. They had the celebration in Seattle last night. It did not end in heartbreak, because man, those fans really did look like they were very, very nervous and felt like something wrong was going to happen. But then again, the Tigers fans probably felt the same way. They just weren't on TV.
I felt bad for the Seattle fans. They had no liquor after the 7th inning, man. They went 8 innings without, liquid courage out there, I feel like both teams, more so Seattle, they were managing the game, they were managing it like Game 7 of the World Series last night. With the usage of Luis Castillo, Logan Gilbert, like everybody was all hands on deck last night. For as much as we are praising how good the game was, and I know you were like, "Oh my God, what a great game!" It was some pretty bad baseball in a lot of aspects. Like, yes, we had great defensive plays by both teams and great, thinking on the fly, where Eugenio Suarez throwing the man out at home, getting the tag out at home. But man, oh man, some of the decisions were head scratchers. I think the first one I want to bring up to you is talking about the decisions to pull Tarik Skubal with around mid-90s pitches in a do-or-die game, when he had pretty much just shut the whole lineup down for Seattle. He had 13 strikeouts, and he was dealing. Nobody was getting any loud contact, and even the run that they scored was a pretty fluky run if you think about it. And I know Adam Wainwright and AJ Przinsky made the comment that Seattle was loud, and it was a very loud environment, and the catcher and the infield were calling out like, "Hey, look at the lead on Naylor. Look at the knee on Naylor." Josh Naylor has the second slowest sprint speed in the majors. And the fact that he was able to steal third was pretty freaking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's for one. And then Logan Gilbert getting the hook that quickly. Not Logan Gilbert, George Kirby getting the hook that quickly after allowing that it was Javi Baez, I believe, correct, if I
the home run?
No, it was Javi Baez.
The 2-run shot?
No, Javi Baez got to the double and then Kerry Carpenter. Yeah, it was Javi who got the double.
Yeah, it was Baez got the double. Yeah, yep.
He wasn't even at close to 90 or 100 pitches. Again, another
66 pitches for Kirby, yeah.
I mean, this is where baseball analytics is ruining the game in a way. I don't want to say ruined, but they're really watering down the product. I mean, you're pulling him with 65 pitches. George Kirby's pitching great. He should be out there at least one or two more, just like Skubal. We were robbed of a pitching masterclass. We still got it, but I mean, man, those two guys should have been extended out there way longer than they should have been. And I mean, you can see in this playoffs, you can see the differences in managerial perspectives as you see, for example, Alex Cora and Aaron Boone allowing their guys to go 90 to 110 pitches when we saw the Max Fried and Garrett Crochet start. Here, I feel the leash was very thin on Seattle's pitchers last night, and I felt Skubal should have been out there. Just very weird. And I mean, there's other instances we can talk about. I mean, Jack Flaherty not getting a mound visit, that was crazy. Where the bases were loaded, he was not controlling a pitch. I mean, Jorge Polanco bailed him out on swinging at a curveball down in the zone that would have been a ball, would have been ball 3-0 count. Again, you're not going to do a mound visit. It was just a lot of weird baseball decisions last night. I'm just sitting there and I'm like, why are we doing this? What's the logic?
Yeah, on the Skubal thing, couldn't agree more. I mean, he had 13 strikeouts in 99 pitches. Maybe that's one thing that, you have so many strikeouts, but that does force you to throw a lot more pitches. Inherently, of course, you'd rather pitch 2-3 pitches to a batter and get a ground out, get a fly out, whatever. But nonetheless, he was incredible. And the number one thing that the Mariners wanted was Tarik Skubal out of the game at that situation, at that point in the game. I know the Tigers have a pretty strong bullpen, and they had obviously pretty much all hands on deck. The starters were out there in the pen as well. But the Mariners wanted him out of the game, and he's not a guy that has, I think his career high is 107 pitches, something like that. He's not a guy that's gone 120 like a Crochet did almost in the wild card game. But what are you saving him for? I'm curious if it was a decision on Skubal's side. If Skubal went to Hinch and said, I want out of this game, I'm exhausted. That seems to be the case with him a lot of times, is where he runs out of gas. It's not a managerial decision. But I agree. I think I would have tried to keep him in the game as long as possible. Maybe one more inning or another batter, another out.
That's never going to come out because, I mean, it's just not a good look for the player. And I just don't know. There's just so many weird decisions. Then you talk about pitching. I have a little hot take I'll talk about later in the podcast. But in regards to hitting, I mean, why are we not laying down the bunt? And I mean, everybody was giving AJ Pierzynski crap about the bunt thing, but it's true. You got to move the runner over. This game should have been over a lot earlier. And I feel like situational hitting was not a strong suit of either team last night because both teams had an opportunity to end the game, and they couldn't move runners over. They couldn't allow the bunt. I mean, the Tigers laid down the bunt. But then, man, the situational hitting on the Tigers, I mean, the Tigers really struggled last night. I read a statistic, and I was looking at their box score. They're 2 through 5 guys. Let's look at their 2 through 5. Gleyber Torres, 0 for 6 with a walk. Riley Green, 0 for 6 with a walk. Spencer Torkelson, 0 for 6. Colt Keith, 0 for 5.
Torkelson had 4 strikeouts, 0 for 6 with 4 Ks.
And look, I know it's hard. I know this is we've talked about the Mariners having some of the best pitching in the major leagues this season, but man, oh man, the pitching's holding up their end of the bargain. I mean, the dam was going to break at some point. And I mean, when your 2 through 5 guys, your best hitters, your big boppers in the lineup aren't getting it done, I mean, at that point, it's going to be pretty tough to win a baseball game, to be honest. And they had opportunities to win the game. I mean, they left a lot of runners on base in extra innings. I mean, just they weren't hitting timely shots. And credit to Seattle for playing really good defensive baseball. I mean, like I've mentioned, the Suarez play, turning double plays, and Seattle's bullpen executed at the end of the day. I mean, they had that Venezuelan reliever, Edward Bazardo, who was he'd put himself in bad spots, but man, he got himself out with K's and he was dotting them up. I kind of felt like both sides of the pitchers, like even Will Vest did it in the ninth.
He was nasty.
That they would get like 2-0 counts or 3-0 counts. They would get behind in the count, better said, and then they would dot some pitches. Like Will Vest was like dotting pitches on the edge of the zone, inside, outside. Like he had to give 2 balls at least before he could just start dotting those balls.
Before he locked in. Yeah. The bullpens were fun to watch. I agree that, the situational hitting was very frustrating last night, and that's been a story with the Tigers all season. And specifically in the playoffs too, they just have not been able to hit with runners in scoring position, drive those runners in. And I think that's offseason priority number 1 for the Tigers is to go out and get some hitting. I know they were in on Bregman last year. We'll see if he opts out. He probably will. I'd lean for him to go back to Boston. I don't think Detroit's going to pay that contract. Detroit has the big prospect, Kevin McGonagall, I think. I'm not a prospect guy.
Yeah, he's good, but I don't think he'll be ready to like start season.
Yeah, and you don't want to be relying on, he can be good, but you don't want to be relying on youth. Like you kind of want an established veteran hitter to come in there. And they're a team that struck out a ton all season, and they came up short in the big moment. Flaherty, when he came in, I was nervous because he did not have his A stuff right away. He had 3 walks on the night in 2 innings. This game, though, should have probably ended in the 12th when you 100%. Had it was Kiter Montero, leadoff walk to Rivas. Robles got hit by the pitch, but it was clearly it hit the bat and then hit his hand. It should have been a foul ball.
There were so many. Sorry to interrupt, but there were so many decisions last night that I was questioning. That's a big point. Mm-hmm. Like it was clear as day that ball hit the bat before it hit the hand, and
it was so clear.
It was clear, and I'm like, I don't know how you can piece it, and I understand the dynamics of replay that you have to have something conclusive evidence to overturn the call, but you can see that his hand's going back and it would have ricocheted and it didn't. Alongside the umpires, I mean, there's always going to be missed calls, and I do feel like there was a couple missed calls that would have changed the game. But I mean, man, the situational hitting was so bad. JP Crawford couldn't and he was even getting mad after his 3rd time around in extras that he could not lay a bunt or put somebody on. It wasn't until the end where he finally clutched up and got the single, but there were so many opportunities for them to move a runner over, and he didn't remove the runner over with the sack bunt.
Yeah, well, yeah, to my point, like in the 12th, it was Rivas and Robles both got on. It was 1st and 2nd with nobody out, and Kiter Montero throws 3 straight balls to Crawford, and the 4th pitch looked like quite a ball. It looked like it was off the zone, and the umpire called it a strike to make it 3-1. It should have been bases loaded with nobody out, and the odds of scoring in that situation are like 80+%. The game was pretty much over at that point. But of course, they call it a strike, and then he bunts foul, and then he pops out. That was the game there, in my opinion, or like a key turning point in the game. And then Randy, top of the order. It would have been bases loaded, nobody out, top of the order. A Rosareno, Raleigh, and Julio. Like game over at that point. Of course, Randy comes up and hits a ground ball to Montero, who turns the double play, which credit to Montero, because in that situation, we saw what happened with the Phillies where Kerkering threw it away. Montero made the play. He made a nice, easy, calm, cool, collected throw to second base, and they turned a double play. We've seen it so many times where the pitcher just craps their pants in that situation and throws the ball away, throws it into the outfield, or, spikes it to second base. He made the play, so credit to him. Unfortunately, for him, the bats the next inning, 3 straight strikeouts, and then boom, we're back to the 13th where you had 1st and 2nd, 2 leadoff walks from Flaherty, but then Polanco struck out. I think you already talked about that at bat. He kind of gave him a strike on the 2-0 pitch, and then Eugenio Suarez grinded into the double play, 6-4-3. So there were a lot of moments in this game where you thought it was going to end. They didn't score from the 7th inning on until the 15th inning. So I don't know, man. Happy for the Mariners fans. They deserve this. I think do you have any other final thoughts on this game before we pivot to like kind of looking ahead?
I mean, Cal Raleigh produced, Josh Naylor really produced, but man, I think the Mariners got to do something with Suarez and Rosarena. Rosarena cannot be your leadoff guy. Rosarena this playoffs right now, it's not getting talked about, and he's sitting 174 batting average right now in the postseason with a 269 OBP and a 217 slug. You can't have that guy, be your leadoff guy right now in the biggest moments, because we know what Toronto's going to do. Toronto's a bat-to-ball team. They're going to get on base. They're going to manufacture runs. Maybe they get Bo Bichette back. That's going to be a huge plus that they're going to get back. And you can't start behind the 8 ball. You want to have Cal Raleigh going up to hit with some men on base. You want to have Julio with some men on base, and they got to do something. I mean, you can't have Randy, and I mean, Randy hasn't been a guy. I mean, Randy this season wasn't great at all. It just fact of the matter, he had 238 and he was an all-star. Whoop de freaking do. 238, 27 home runs, 426 slug, 760 OPS. But last year in his trade season, he was hitting 219. Like, I mean, you're gonna have to flip the lineup. Credit to Josh Naylor. He was doing really, really well. And I know a lot of people on Twitter were talking about the payday he's going to get because, man, his two-strike approach was great. His baseball IQ on stealing bases and putting pressure on the base pass. He's not one of the fastest guys, but he was surely applying pressure on those pitchers and making them, throw them over. I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was like in the 13th or 14th when he was up. He was on first base, and they had to throw him a pickoff attempt. So that was a big one. And, I mean, the Mariners lineup has to produce, and we have to produce because we know Toronto's lineup is going to produce. Cal's going to be there, and Julio's going to be there. Suarez is going to have to produce. Randy's going to have to produce, and we know the pitching's going to be there.
Naylor, he's in the third percentile in sprint speed in all of baseball.
He's the second slowest guy in all of the Major League Baseballs behind Alejandro Kirk. So we're going to have the Alejandro Kirk, freaking Josh Naylor stolen base battle next series.
But Josh Naylor had 30 stolen bases in the regular season. I mean, that's a guy that's playing for a contract. I know a team that could use a guy like Josh Naylor, but I don't think they would ever do it in the New York Yankees. Randy Arozarena needs to channel 2020 Randy Arozarena. For those that don't remember, he went absolutely nuclear in the COVID playoffs. He hit 377 with a 1.273 OPS with 10, count them, 10 home runs. He was incredible that season. And he was only 25, so everyone thought he was going to be like the next big thing in Major League Baseball, the next superstar. Hasn't necessarily panned out that way. I think he still had a really solid career, 2-time All-Star. To your point, like, he's got to tap into that form. He is a playoff performer. Let's see it. This is a very, very fun series. Like we talked about last episode, Blue Jays, Mariners is what we wanted to see. We didn't really want to see the Tigers because we just did not think they were going to be able to manufacture runs against Toronto. Now, did you see the Blue Jays tweet last night?
Incredible. The judge, the boxing ref, it was incredible. I think this series is going to be absolute cinema. I mean, when you talk about the two best teams in the American League, no offense to you, William, but when you look at the two best teams in the American League, it's always been Seattle and Toronto. I mean, you have a catcher's battle of, probably the two best catchers in the big leagues right now with Alejandro Kirk, who's had an insane season defensively and his bat is no joke. Cal Raleigh, we saw the play last night where you couldn't have thrown a better ball to throw throughout Colt Keith at second base last night, which was an electric throw. I mean, you have Vladimir Guerrero Jr., one of the best players in all of baseball at first base. You got Julio Rodriguez on the other side, homegrown talent for Seattle. Again, a guy who can be a top 10, top 15 perennial player. I mean, this dude, once the calendar turns over, July 15th turns into just some new to a ridiculous player. I don't have the splits up, but Julio Rodriguez after the All-Star break becomes another dude. It's like, boom. Alongside of that, you got Josh Naylor going home. Josh Naylor is a very good player. We've talked about how good he is. I mean, Blue Jays got Bo Bichette, Josh Naylor battle. You got I mean, I can go on and on and on about both of these teams. I mean, closers battle, Jeff Hoffman, Andres Munoz, and Kevin Gausman versus which pitcher that the Mariners blow out. And that's the thing. The Mariners have the clear pitching battle in this series. I mean, the Mariners have 4 guys. Well, we don't know now because they used all their bullets last night, but it's baseball. Anything can happen. I mean, they got 4 guys. They got Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Luis Castillo, and now Brian Wu got added to the playoff roster this morning. So it looks like he'll be pitching game 4. So you have 4 potentially really good pitchers that you can throw out against Toronto, and you have probably a top 3 closer in the game. So it'll be very interesting how Seattle plays. And Toronto will probably throw out Gausman, Yasevich, and they'll probably bullpen a game, and we've seen how their bullpens played. So it's a dead even series. I mean, you want to lean to the team that has home field advantage, but I mean, the best way to neutralize a good hitting team and a good baseball team is really good pitching, and that's what Seattle has. And I mean, you couldn't have been more happier with how the results turned out. I mean, you got best on best, two heavyweights going at it. You got Canada versus Seattle. It's going to be a great atmosphere at both parks starting up tomorrow night on Fox at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Will be interesting to see, like I said, what Seattle's plan is for game one. And knowing how baseball is, and I said this last night to myself, I was watching the game. I'm like, none of these teams have a chance game one going into Toronto and winning with the amount of pitchers that they've used and how taxing and how emotionally draining last night's game was. Cal Raleigh said that it was a very nerve-wracking game. But knowing how baseball is, I just see a world where one of these teams just goes in riding the adrenaline high and beats the Jays tomorrow night. I know the Jays are going to be ready. The Jays showed no hangover from their little sabbatical between rounds, so they're going to be up for it. But I don't know, man. I think there's just something into playing ball consecutively and not having days off, and I feel like it depends by the team, but I just think there's value into that.
Yeah, this series can go either way. I lean Seattle. I pick Seattle to make the World Series before the postseason, so I'm going to stick with my pick. It is a very interesting scenario that Seattle is in coming out of that game last night. Obviously, they used pretty much all of their pitchers. It looks like Wu, like you said, is going to be back on the roster probably for like a game 4 he would start. But the Mariners did the whole, win the game, clinch the series, do the champagne, get hammered, and now they had to hop on a red-eye flight from Seattle to Toronto, international flight. That's a long way. They were probably all drunk on that plane.
Whoa! International flight. Let's chill. They're not crossing a body of water. They're just crossing, they're on the border.
Well, they got to go through customs and all that stuff, so there is an added element there.
They're professionals. They're professionals.
I know, but they're drunk. They're on the plane. It's a long flight. You get to Toronto. You do have Saturday to recover, and then you got to play again on Sunday with, again, like no one left in your arsenal in terms of pitchers. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. But it's baseball. Like anything, it's just a very weird sport in the sense that, and I've talked about this on previous episodes, never take games for granted or never assume anything in the postseason. Everyone's probably going to be betting on Toronto in game 1 because of the situation that Seattle's in. But it would be the most baseball thing ever for the Mariners to go into Toronto, a place that the Blue Jays don't lose at this year, and win game 1 out of nowhere when no one expects them to do so. The series odds are totally even right now across all sports books. So this is a total toss-up. I cannot wait. I think it's the 2 best teams in the American League. It's a heavyweight fight, like you said. And also, it's 2 starved fan bases. The Mariners have never been in the World Series in their whole franchise history. This is their first ALCS since 2001. And the Blue Jays haven't been in the World Series since 1993. And they haven't been in the CS since 2016 when they lost to the then Indians. So a lot of demons will be exercised. A lot of happy fans that have not seen their team win and in the biggest spot. Someone will be exercising a lot of demons in the series. I can't wait for it to start. I'm going Seattle.
I'm excited. I mean, it's tough. I mean, the Blue Jays just don't lose at home, man. They're the best team in the American League at home with the 54-27. The only home team better in the bigs is the Phillies, who were eliminated by the Dodgers. But it's tough because, like I said, Seattle has the one neutralizing factor. We know in playoff baseball, yes, runs win you ball games, but what's the one position in baseball that neutralizes all and controls the game the most?
Starting pitching.
It's pitching, starting pitching, and it's pitching. And that's what Seattle has. It's just interesting how you're going to deploy it. I will be interested to see what leashes will be given to the Seattle pitchers because it was very tight last night, very short leashes last night. So, like I said, I want to pick Seattle, but, man, Toronto at home, and this is not an AL East bias. We know how good Toronto is. It's just the pitching that Seattle has. Seattle has 4 guys that can single-handedly terrorize a game. And I think Toronto only has 1.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it depends on who shows up for them.
1.5. And I mean, how you pitch this series, you probably don't pitch to Vlad.
He's
in my
yeah.
opinion.
That
You just walk him.
that was the next point I was going to make. He's a playoff performer. He went nuclear against the Yankees. Can he continue that form against Seattle?
You're going to walk them. And I mean, hey, my thing is it's going to come down to the pitching, how good Toronto pitching is, and can the other guys. That's my two keys. Can Toronto's pitching show up just like they did for the Yankees? If that bullpen shows up like they did for the Yankees and the starters give them at least 5 to 6, I think Toronto is going to be a really good position to win this series. But if Seattle's other guys, Randy Rosarena, Leo Rivas, Mitchell Garver, and J.P. Crawford all show up, it's going to be really tough to beat Seattle. So
it's a true toss up in my eyes.
True toss up, and it's gonna go 7. I think it's gonna go 7, and it's gonna be a great series. It's gonna be one for the history books, and I'm gonna take Seattle on 7. I'm just in the camp of starting pitching. I mean, when you look at the other series, the other teams left, I mean, my picks are gonna reflect that starting pitching wins championships.
Mm-hmm. I'll say Seattle in 6, but I think it's gonna be tight. Before we move to the National League side of things, do you want to do a quick funeral for the Tigers season?
Yeah, man. I kind of want to ask you this question. I mean, Tigers got a really big decision this offseason. I mean, they do need a lot of hitting, and I mean, you do have a lot of youth in the system. But I mean, I think it's time to talk about Tarik Skubal. I mean, Tarik Skubal's a free agent in 2026 coming up after this next upcoming season. Do they go the route of the Milwaukee Brewers? It's been talked about on Twitter. And do you deal Tarik Skubal when his value is at his highest and get a huge return and set you up for the future? Or do you just go run it back, spend some money, get some bats, and go run it? It's going to be tough because, I mean, there's not many bats in free agency that are difference makers, in my opinion. And the ones that are difference makers really impede their progress into their future. For example, Pete Alonso. I don't know if you're going to debate with Torkelson, if you're going to keep the Torkelson ride. Mm-hmm. One, you also have Alex Bregman, which, I mean, they got a lot of young guys in their system coming up and middle infielders. So those are the two big difference-making bats. And I don't think Cody Bellinger kind of fits, and I don't think they'll be in the Kyle Tucker race. So it poses the question: do you trade Tarik Skubal this offseason, or do you go run it back one more year and see how it goes?
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation that Detroit's in right now, because with Skubal an impending free agent after the 2026 season, you can run it back. You know, they're in the situation where they have to do something this offseason, because if you don't trade Skubal and you don't do anything this offseason, we've seen that this team is not good enough to make it to the World Series. They just don't have the hitting to do so. I believe Gleyber Torres is a free agent as well. And
Gleyber Torres is going for offseason hernia surgery.
Yes, he is. You could run it back, but you're not going to be good enough. If you keep Skubal, you have to go out and make a signing, make a trade for a bat, multiple bats, to help beef up that lineup. They should have probably won this game on Friday night if they just had a couple clutch hits, couple timely hits, but they didn't do it. Their guys did not come through, and that was the story with them all season long. They did not hit with runners in scoring position. If you trade Skubal, you can set up your franchise for the next decade plus, because he is by far and away the best pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. I know you would be only trading him for, he would be a rental trade, but think of any contender that could use a Skubal to help that team get over the hump. You could get a very legit haul even for a rental. Look what Juan Soto went for when he got traded for a rental. I thought that was a pretty good return for San Diego. Obviously, it didn't necessarily work out for them. Michael King, Randy Vasquez. I can't remember who else was in. Higashioka was thrown in there.
Higashioka, Johnny Brito, Vasquez. I mean,
it would be more than that, in my opinion. I think it would be, you could get a top 100 type prospect in return. I think what happens is they're going to keep him and see what happens, and they're going to try to spend some money this offseason. They'll probably sign a couple like B tier bat free agents, not the A tier. I don't think Bregman would go to Detroit, but there is pressure on that front office this season, because this could very well be their last year with Tarik Skubal, the best pitcher in the sport. And I really don't think he's going to come back to Detroit in free agency. Very fascinating kind of crossroads right now.
I'll say this, the thing about it is too, is like, if you sign an Alex Bregman and Skubal walks, what do you do with Bregman? You're just kind of stuck with him too. and he'll be a year older. And you can't just go nutty and go just signing crazy Buco free agents and run it back with his team, because then Skubal leaves, and what are you?
And
What are you?
And even with Bregman, there's concerns with the age, and that bat really isn't going to play in Detroit. That's a really tough place to hit, especially for righties. That left center gap is brutal. The right center gap is brutal too. Would he really want to go there over a Boston where he can just slap balls off the green monster? As a player, from his perspective, I'd probably rather play in Boston. I mean, you got a better team too that's set up for success long term in Boston. I don't really see the appeal of Detroit except the fact that you get to play for AJ Hinch, but
It's a multi-year commitment. That's the thing too. That's what I'm saying. It's a multi-year commitment. That's my thing, is putting on my GM hat and my financials hat. It is a multi-year commitment, and that's my problem.
Yeah, it's not it's not going to be a deal where it's an opt out after year one like it was this time.
It's not like Cody Bellinger, where if the Cody Bellinger experiment didn't work, worst thing that could have happened, that the Yankees would have been on the hook for him for one more season, but or afterwards. So that's the thing. But
Tigers got a lot of free agents. Flaherty's got a player option. Alex Cobb, Gleyber Torres, Rafael Montero, Tommy Kahnle, Chris Paddock, Paul Sewald, Kyle Finnegan are all free agents. Jose Urquidy, who I forgot they had, has a club option as well.
I mean, they left 10 Tigers left 10 men on base and 1 for 9 in scoring runners in scoring position. Javi Baez 0 for 2, Gleyber Torres 0 for 2, Parker Meadows 0 for 1, Riley Green 0 for 1, Torkelson 0 for 1, Colt Keith 0 for 1, Kerry Carpenter. Mariners were worse, 12 runners left on base, 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. Suarez 0 for 1, Polanco 1 for 2. J.P. Crawford 0 for 2, Robles 0 for 1, Rosarena 0 for 2, Rivas 1 for 1, J. Rod 0 for 1, and Cal Raleigh 0 for 1. So whoever tries to tell you that last night's game was a great game, it was a tough watch.
It was a tough watch. It maybe for pitcher enthusiasts, it was a good watch. But yeah, I would tend to agree. The hitting prowess was not there.
Situational hitting, just situation. It's just the fundamentals were there, but the situationals were not there.
Great defense. To AJ Przisky's point, lay down the bunt.
It's a lost start. I mean, I think Craig Counsell and Pat Murphy are going to lead bunt demos today before at American Home. What is it? American Family Home Mortgage Stadium? Some
American Family Field, something. Yeah, I call it Miller Park still.
Yeah, Miller Park. They're gonna lead bunt expeditions, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the next series the other night. Let's talk about the Dodgers and the Phillies. Dodgers got through. I mean, in a great fashion. They came back down on the Phillies after an RBI double from Nick Castellanos to win 2-1. Again, Orion Kerkering blew the fielder by the pitching and threw the ball behind to the right side of JT Realmuto. As you can see in the video, JT Realmuto was signaling to throw the ball to first base, and the bases loaded, jam, and extras. But man, oh man, there's a lot to talk about this series. I mean, Rob Thompson thrown out there, Johan Duran not in the ninth, not throwing him out in the ninth.
Mm-hmm.
We can also talk about, if there's a man that scares me, and I had this conversation with a non-baseball ball knower the other day. If there's a guy that scares me more in the playoffs, it's Kike Hernandez. Whatever he comes up to the plate, he literally scares me, because in the playoffs, he becomes a whole different animal. He's not the Kike Hernandez in the regular season. He's always doing something special.
Yeah. I mean, lots to get to with this game. I thought it was probably the right call to bring in Duran when the game was close in the 7th, but you did burn him early. He had the walk to Betts, which tied the game, which was tough. They did get Teoscar on the knuckle curve to get out of the inning, but nonetheless, they lost. Orion Kerkering threw the ball away. That's the story of this game. And it's the story of, the Phillies offseason. It's all fans are going to remember. It was a brutal night for Philly sports fans. They also had the Eagles get spanked by the Giants on Thursday Night Football. Scataboo. So you got to feel for Philly fans a little bit. I know people don't like Philly fans. I sympathize with the Phillies fans because I do think it's good to be a passionate fan base, and the Phillies are passionate. I think he just panicked, man. I truly just think he panicked. He, looking at the video, he very clearly had the out at first base. But when you bobble it, that initial bobble, his mind just probably started racing, and he just panicked and threw it home. If it was a good throw, he probably still could have gotten Kim out at home. And it was interesting because Kim missed the base. He did not touch home plate. He came back. He came back to touch it. But had that been like a bang bang play and it was a good throw, they would have gone to review, and it would have been like, oh, Kim did not touch home plate. Phillies get out of the inning.
That is crazy. But I mean, one thing I also noticed, and I noticed I want to talk about a little bit of, might be a boomer take here, hot take. I noticed this last night with a bunch of mound visits, but I'm starting to tend to believe that whenever a pitch comm malfunction occurs, that it's actually not a pitch comm malfunction. It's actually a team trying to steal a mound visit. I see the pitch comm malfunctions happen way too often in the game. That like, oh, we have to stop the game and fix it, and then everybody has to come out to fix the pitch comm. Like, why does everybody have to come out? Can't you just give the receiver to the pitcher and put it in and test it, and that's it? Not have like the whole staff come out. I don't know. I've never experienced pitch comm. William hasn't experienced pitch comm, but I tend to believe that like pitch comm malfunctions are starting to be a stolen mound visit or a visit to, just let's relax and get composure. Like, how can your pitch comm not work coming outside of the bullpen? You were just in the bullpen. You were just giving it in the bullpen. How can it just suddenly just stop working after pitches? Like,
Exactly.
In the middle of the 7th inning, in a pressure point of the game, hey guys, pitch comm's not working, and you get an extra how much, 30 seconds or whatever they give you more instead of the pitch clock. I don't know. It just sounds really fishy to me.
Yeah, your pitch comm was working when it was 0-0, but then you fall down 2-0, and all of a sudden the pitch comm's not working. Also, last night, I feel like, are we not counting mound visits anymore? I feel like Seattle and Detroit had 50 mound visits each, and they were not limiting. I thought there was a limit on these things, but they just keep adding mound visits. I don't know. It was kind of endless. It felt like it was a slow moving game.
I will respect Detroit and Seattle for not abusing the pitch comm, having the pitch comms work. But man, I saw that with Johan Duran. I was like, he falls behind in the count. He was like, oh, pitch comm's not working. And then he gets out of the inning. I'm like, wait, what happened? Is he trying to compose himself or whatever? I'm always going to be a little bit now more attentive and a little more apprehensive when I see, oh, pitch comm's not working. In some cases, okay, I understand it. But other cases, I'm like, yeah, what's going on?
Another thing on this game, it was close. Everyone's going to talk about the missed throw at the end of the game, but Philly really didn't manufacture anything in this game. They were 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The Dodgers were, funnily enough, 0 for 6, and they were still able to win the game. But Philly only had 4 hits in 11 innings in this game. And again, the whole concern with the Dodgers heading into the postseason was the bullpen. What are you going to get out of the bullpen? Well, Glasnow was incredible to start the game. Sheehan gave up the run, but then Roki Sasaki comes in and just throws 3 flawless innings with 2 strikeouts. He's been incredible for them. And then Vesia was great in relief as well. And Philly really did not create anything with their bats. Christopher Sanchez was great in this game. I feel like that's going to be overlooked, how good he was for his start. Luzardo was solid in relief, Strom, and then Kerkering had the error. But that is kind of the story with Philly this whole season, is their pitching has been great, but I just the bats. Everyone talks about this championship window with Philly that is now closed. I don't know if they were good enough this season to win the World Series with the bats they had.
I think their bats were good enough. I mean, now they just ruined a Kyle Schwarber, MVP-esque season. Now Schwarber's probably going to walk somewhere. Word on the street, there's a hot rumor that he's going to go home to Cincinnati. And if he goes to Cincinnati, just imagine him at Great American, the numbers he'd put up at Great American. And I mean, just to put the funeral to bed with Philadelphia, I mean, that team's getting older. I mean, Nick Castellanos isn't a spring chicken. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, JT Realmuto, they got a lot of contracts coming off the books. Everybody's like, oh, we're just going to go get Kyle Tucker and we're going to run it back. I don't think this team can just run it back. I mean, we clearly saw that LA is the class. And I think the other thing with LA is they have that fear factor. And William can talk about this more. And I mean, your father talks a lot about this with you. And you were telling me is that that the Yankees in the 90s and the early 2000s, there was that fear factor. You're playing the Yankees. The Yankees sometimes weren't that. They were good, but they weren't as good as other teams, but because they were the Yankees, teams walk into Yankee Stadium with that fear. I think we've gotten to that point with the Dodgers where Dodgers bullpen may not be that good and their pitching may not be that good and their hitting may not be as good as last year's team, or they may not have a good regular season, but because they're the Dodgers, they're the defending champs, and they have so much credit under the book in the past couple of seasons of how good they are. You walk into Dodger Stadium and you feel the pressure of the fans, the environment, and because you're playing the LA Dodgers, this superstar team.
Yeah, I think it's definitely gotten to that point. And to your point with the Yankees, it was 2000 where they weren't amazing in the regular season. They finished 87 and 74 and still were able to win the World Series that year after, of course, winning in 98, 99. So that finished off the three-peat in 2000. But again, like they were only 13 games over 500 that season. The Dodgers didn't have an incredible regular season by any stretch of the imagination. And they're still, striking fear in their opponents in the playoffs. They figured out this whole bullpen thing. Roki Sasaki, you can make an argument, has been their most valuable player in the postseason this year. How good he's been out of the pen, giving them length, the nasty splitter. He's incredible. On Philly, I don't think the window is necessarily closed. They are at a crossroads with all the free agents they have this year. Some of those aging guys are moving out. They still have to pay Nick Castellanos $20 million next season. The thing that might save them is the pitching. You got Zach Wheeler coming back. Christopher Sanchez is one of the best pitchers in the game. Luzardo is still there. Like the pitching staff, I still think is going to be solid. Duran is still there. You have the best closer, one of the best closers in baseball. Might have to work out some of the rest of the bullpen, but it's a pivotal offseason for them and what they do in terms of trying to get some bats into that franchise. They could maybe trade one of the starting pitchers to help get some bats. They're at a crossroads. I don't think the championship window is necessarily closed, but there is a lot of pressure on them to kind of revamp and make that team look a lot different next season. If there's a guy to do it, it'd be Dave Dombrowski. He's not afraid to make wholesale changes. He's not afraid to kind of go out of the status quo. And it's another team that I'm very curious to see what they do this offseason.
But I'm going to be honest. You talk about the Philadelphia's going to be able to do all these things, but can you just look at the landscape of the NL? The Braves are going to be back. They're going to be a lot better. The Padres are still going to be there. The Giants are going to spend money. And you forgot about the team in Queens, man. The Mets. The Mets are going to be so angry this offseason because of what happened this year in their debacle where they just completely collapsed it from June onwards, that the Mets are going to be, I think, and I'll say it right now, I think the Mets are going to win the division next year with how everything's going to go this offseason. I think the Mets are going to spend a lot of money, and they're going to be there, and it's going to make Philadelphia's life very difficult. And you're talking about how, Philadelphia can revamp and everything. I'm telling you, the Mets and the Braves, you forget about, those central block teams are going to be there just mucking it up, and the Giants and the Padres are all going to be there. So it's going to be tough. And like I said, Philadelphia, yeah, they're going to do this, that. They're going to sign this. But the Mets are going to be really good next year.
Yeah, the Mets will definitely be active this offseason. Looking at Philly, I think losing Bader to injury this postseason was killer. He started out quite hot in the first couple games that he played. Kyle Schwarber hit 188, did have 2 home runs. Castellanos 133. Harper hit 200. He was just not good. They didn't get much from pretty much anybody else. So they're at a crossroads right now.
I mean, Bader's a free agent. I don't expect Bader to be back because Bader will get a nice little deal. He'll get a nice little deal. He's like Trent Grisham light in a sense. He'll get a nice little deal. And then you forget also, we have to talk about this before we close this. Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani in the DS needs to be discussed. I don't think his name is getting discussed enough. It feels like just because he won one World Series and because he's Shohei Ohtani and he doesn't play for the Yankees, he doesn't get enough discussion. But Shohei Ohtani is hitting 0.56 batting average, 150 OBP, and a 56 slug, 206 OPS, and only has one total base in the DS in 4 games, 20 paid appearances, 18 at bats. 1 hit.
Wait. Oh, yeah. 18. So 18 at bats, 9 strikeouts. I'll say, I know he's pitching. He's incredible. You got to put those caveats when you talk about Shohei Ohtani. If Aaron Judge did that in the DS, that's all I'll say. I think you know the rest.
I have no comments. I want to say things, but I would be in very big trouble if I say these things.
If Aaron Judge did that, if Aaron Judge went into the locker room celebration and celebrated the way Vladdy did, if he did that, that's all I'll say.
No, I'm just saying Shohei Ohtani 056.
I know.
I don't want to say what needs to be said, but I mean, hey, that's another postseason where he's been another postseason he has struggled. When last year he hit in the World Series 105, and in the DS he hit 200. I'm telling you.
Last postseason he hit 230 with a 766 OPS, 3 home runs, 22 strikeouts, and 61 at bats. Last year he had the caveat or the protector or whatever that he was injured.
But why the inconsistency? Well, again, why the inconsistency? You start the NLDS against San Diego hitting 200, 273, 350 slug, and then you go hit 364 against the Mets in New York, 548 OBP and 636 slug, and then you hit 105. You just go from Queens to the Bronx. That's not much different. There's no smog in New York, so 227 OBP, 158, and then against Cincinnati you hit 333, 400 OBP, 1000 slug, and then you're hitting 56, 150 OBP and 56 on Le Slug. I think we need an investigation, my guy.
Investigation. Be very curious to see what he does against Cubs or Brewers in the championship series.
It's just something. Just putting it out there.
Just putting it out there.
Putting it out there. Let's just putting an agenda out there that's not getting talked about enough. Just putting it out there. But yeah, I mean, that's a bow on that series. William, go ahead and let's preview Game 5 tonight. I mean, talk about your experience at Game 4. We'll give our Game 5 picks, and we'll be back, and we'll probably be back on a short one tomorrow, I guess, and do series previews.
Well, we'll see how I'm feeling after the marathon tomorrow. I don't know if I'll physically be able to do a podcast. We'll see.
We'll see.
If not Monday morning, if not Monday morning after Game 1 of the CS for the American League.
Oh, we can do the NL. We can do the NL previews on Monday morning. That's right, because we already did the AL with NL. So William, let's talk about Brewers Cubs. How was Game 4 experience? We got Game 5 tonight. Do we have probables for Game 5 tonight?
I don't think we have official probables yet.
Are we getting Imanaga? Are we getting bullpenned?
We were talking about that. All right. Okay. Right now, it looks like Drew Pomeranz was named the starter for the Cubs tonight, according to ESPN. I don't think it can be Imanaga. We were talking about that with a lot of fans after the game on Thursday. It's like he's just a home run waiting to happen. So it looks like it might be a bullpen game for Detroit. And then I think Milwaukee would go with Mizorowski.
Hey, talk about Game 4. They got out early. The Cubs got out early, got the lead early, and got the fans involved. I mean, half of my feed from college was out at that game on Thursday night. So it feels like I was watching 2 games at once.
Yeah, I know. I did see a lot of people were at the game too, and I got to say, it was the first postseason game for the Cubs this year that kind of felt like a true postseason game in the sense that all of the other games were during the day. There was Game 3 in Chicago that started during the day and then ended at night. But this one started at 8 o'clock. You know, it's dark when you're walking into the stadium. You get off. I took the Brown line, so we walked up Wrigley, walked out through Wrigleyville, and then you turn the corner and you see the marquee, and it's dark and the high light, the high beams or whatever, the light radiating from the marquee, and it's like, ooh, this feels different, man. This is special stuff right here. And then you walk into the stadium and I'm telling you, I've been to World Series games in New York, in the Bronx. I've been to playoff games in Cleveland. I've been to, not that that's necessarily like known to be a crazy atmosphere. I've never been to Philly or Boston for the postseason. I've been to a couple of Wrigley.
You had to make that comment about Ohio, of course. Williams' Ohio jab of the day.
Yeah. And Wrigley, I think Wrigley rivals any atmosphere in all of baseball in the postseason. That game, the atmosphere on Thursday night, it was absolutely electric. Obviously, it was kind of the catalyst of that was the Ian Happ 3-run home run in the first inning. But once Freddie Peralta took the mound and everybody was chanting Fred, it has to feel so like lonely out there on the mound when the whole crowd is chanting your name. And it affected him. He threw a bunch of, balls when we were doing it, had a few walks. That place was electric. I think it carried the Cubs to that victory. The Brewers, Pat Murphy was talking about how great it was after the game. The Cubs fans were talking about how great it was after the game. So it was truly a really fun, an incredible experience in Wrigley on Thursday night. That said, none of that will really mean anything if you come up short on Saturday against the Brewers.
And that's 100%. I mean, I'll talk about experiences. I think Dodger Stadium, that World Wild Card game. Yes, it was a wild card game against the Reds, but man, it's the walk. I mean, Dodger Stadium. I think in our list of ballparks that we've been to, Dodger Stadium has to be top 3. And when you make the drive up, it's on an island. It's literally on a lift. It's on a mountain. You're driving up, and it's like Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. You're coming up, you get up there, and then you park the car. And you're walking and you just see the big stadium, and then you get there and you see the mountains, the valley, and you see the blimp. It's truly great, and I mean everybody's amped to the max. But regardless, I mean it's Game 5, it's Game 7 for both teams. It's do or die. I mean the Brewers have had a great season. Euchre Magic. It's time for them to actually cash in and exercise those demons and make it to the end. And get to face the Dodgers, or it's the Cubs. And I mean, what's going to win tonight? Is it going to be the Cubs hitting on the road, or will it be the Brewers pitching at home at American Family Field, Mortgage Field, whatever they call it?
Whatever the hell they call it. Yeah, it's a lot of pressure on Milwaukee. Season high or franchise high in victories, 97. And if you just come up short against your division rival after taking a 2-0 lead in the series, I don't know how that's heartbreaking. I don't know how you come back from that.
It's tough. And you got to add also, when you look at the series, I mean, go look at Game 1. Milwaukee started out fast. Go look at the Game 4. The Cubs started out fast. Go look at Game 3. The Cubs also started out fast. This series is going to come down to who comes up. Who gets off to a fast start? It's kind of been decided in 3 of the 4 games in the series. Whoever gets those runs first and hot and heavy and gets that lead, that's who's going to win. Mm-hmm. We saw it Game 1, we saw it Game 3, and we saw it Game 4. So hey, you got what pitching staff is going to rise is the question.
Agreed. And Matthew Boyd rose to the occasion in Game 4, 4 2/3, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. The curveball was working, and he played off the fastball with that. So it was a great combo. He was very good. And then the bullpen shut it down. Palencia, Pomeranz, Keller, and Thielbar were all very good. Only 1 walk out of the pen on Thursday. So can they replicate that performance from the pen? Can they get to Mizorowski? Is Mizorowski going to be nervous, or is he going to channel that nervous energy into 104 and dotted, or is it going to be 104 and all over the place? That's what the game is going to ultimately come down to. A lot of pressure on a rookie, a lot of pressure on the Cubs bullpen. Every guy has to be on their game as they pass down the baton to the next guy. All it takes is one dude to not be on their game. Last night for Detroit, it was Tommy Kahnle. Didn't have his stuff. Mariners won the game when Kahnle came in. Same thing with the Cubs. They got to be, every single one of those guys has to be effective out of the pen. I'm very excited, of course, for this one as well.
Exactly. Who you got tonight?
I got to say, I feel the magic with the Cubs. I picked the Brewers to win the World Series, so I'll stick with the Brewers. What do you think?
Cubs in 5.
Cubs in 5. All right.
Cubs in 5. Getting it. Cubs in 5. Let's do it.
Whoever wins this series, the Dodgers will be -250 favorites against.
Dodgers will win in 5 or 6 games. Whoever they play, 5 or 6 games will be that quick and simple.
Maybe even 4. But baseball's a weird sport. Anything can happen.
Probably 5.
Yeah.
So, hey. It is what it is. It's the business end of the season. We got a Game 5 tonight. Can't wait tonight. I've been craving a hamburger for the past 2 weeks. And tonight I'm actually going to go get a double hamburger at a restaurant and have a beer and sit at the bar. I don't care if they're going to play. What's tonight's football game, the 7 p.m. football game?
Michigan SC, I think.
I don't care. Sorry, William. I'm a Wolverine fan. Fuck USC. But I need to be watching the Cubs game.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's must-see TV tonight. I hope it's a quick game. I hope it doesn't go 15 because I got to wake up and run the Chicago Marathon in the morning.
William texted William. You were like badgering me, like, "Oh, are we recording? Are we recording?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to stay up and finish this game. I've had a long week at work, and I literally got home and I had barbecue chips for dinner, barbecue chips and chicken, and I'm literally trying to stay up. And I'm like,
I know. If the game was, it was all right. We got it in today on a Saturday. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of college football slate, whatever you got going on this weekend. Enjoy the baseball. We'll be back.
Congrats to Las Vegas Aces, WNBA champions. 4-4.
Indeed, yeah.
3-4.
Like 3-4? That's a dynasty. That's a dynasty.
That's Yankees right there, Yankee level.
Yeah. All right, man. We'll be back probably Monday morning, maybe tomorrow. We'll see how I feel, and we'll be in person too at the end of next week.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably do a double next weekend. I mean, probably sit on the side of a road in the middle of Alabama and do one and in a car. Caleb will probably manage the camera in the background.
I gotta buy like a tripod or something to figure it out, but
it's gonna be like busting with the boys.
Yeah, on the road.
We're
taking it on the road next week. But thank you all for listening on a Saturday of all days. Greatly appreciated. It's been an electric postseason. There's nothing better than playoff baseball. Enjoy Game 5 tonight. Enjoy Game 1 of the CS on Sunday. From my good friend over there, Luis Barranco. Catch you guys next time. Peace out.